Do you find yourself frustrated that your ADHD or autistic child does not respond to you? Do you feel like they're not even listening or processing what you're saying? I often hear this concern from the parents I work with. There can be many reasons why this is happening, but I want to share one reason that is often overlooked. I'm hopeful that it may help you understand why this is happening, and I also want to share some tips that may be helpful. Before working as a parent coach, I worked for over 30 years as an occupational therapist with hundreds of families. At the beginning of my career, many of the children I worked with seemed to tune me out and not respond to what I was saying. This happened with verbal and nonverbal kids. So at first, I repeated myself, I tried to get their attention, I explained things again and again, and it didn't help. I kept looking for different strategies. I eventually realized that at times I was talking too much. I learned quickly that some of the children and teen that I was working with benefited from less talking. And again, this applied to both verbal and nonverbal kids. Once I started talking less, they became more engaged, more animated. They were more back and forth interaction. So what was the connection between neurodivergence and talking too much? Neurodivergent kids often get overstimulated. They could be overstimulated from certain sensory input, from too many transitions, from feeling anxious, or just from a typical day in school. When our brain becomes overstimulated, we're not as capable of processing information. It makes it harder to use language to respond and to stay focused. It can lead to irritability and meltdown. So in those situations, your child may be overstimulated, but not to the point where they're melting down. So you may not notice that they're overstimulated, even though they often are. If they are overstimulated, it's likely that they won't respond as much or not engage as much when you're talking to them and asking them questions. It's not that I stopped talking, but I became more intentional in how much I was talking. Some other things that helped included using more visuals whenever possible, like a visual schedule or a list or some kind of object that could anchor the child's attention. Also, whenever possible, I modeled the task instead of talking about how to do that task. I gave more succinct information. I paused. I learned to become more comfortable having silent moments. So it's not about interacting less with your child, but interacting in a different way that honors what their nervous system needs at that moment. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this.